Hello everybody, it's me, Spicy Orange, and today I have a very special video for you today. I will be talking about possibly the biggest Chad in Baki, which would be Hanayama Kaoru. Yeah, I know, Chiharu Shiba is the biggest Chad, how dare you, I know, he's goated, okay? But he looks up to Hanayama, so yeah, we're talking about Hanayama today, deal with it. If you want a Shiba video, though, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, let's get into it. In his first appearance, as a flex, he effortlessly tears a chunk out of a deck of cards with his thumb, and then he proceeds to just absolutely destroy a boxer. He punches him into a sprinkler, and then while he's down, he just dislocates his jaw. He then runs up and grabs both of his arms, and using his godlike grip strength, he just turns his arms into actual, noodles. And if you thought he was done, nope. He goes up to him again and finishes him off by ripping his ears off. Later on, Hanayama absolutely destroys a well-known boxer known as Yuri, who is able to one-shot multiple wolves in the wild, making their eyes pop out and cracking their skulls with just his punches. After having a little scuffle with Baki, Baki just rolls up and completely disrespects Hanayama in the worst way. So he just goes out onto the street, kind of upset, nothing big. And the first thing he sees to let out some anger is a car. What does he do with the car? Well, he proceeds to just smash the hood of it with one hand. He kicks the hood of the car off, sending it flying into a crowd. He then punches the engine, shattering it, flips the car, rips off one of the wheels, and then just tears the tire apart with his bare hands. Luckily though, Hanayama was able to encounter Baki yet again, and then decides he's gonna rock his shit. He punches him, sending him flying, and Baki even states that Hanayama himself is stronger than the Yasha ape. For reference, the Yasha ape was able to casually twist a weight set, as well as thrash Baki throughout their encounter. Taking another hit, Baki then states his strength should be in the realm of Yujiro, which, if you read, wasn't very true. But the fact he even said this is a massive amount of respect towards Hanayama's strength. Probably Hanayama's most defining feature is his back tattoo called the Standing Man. When he first got the tattoo, he called it incomplete as it was lacking something. In the story behind the Standing Man tattoo, one of Hanayama's ancestors, who was a child at the time, centuries ago, was protected by a man. The man held a large bell on his back with the child inside, and the man kept the boy safe from bandits terrorizing his household. He stood there taking all their attacks and died standing, still holding the bell protecting the boy. He died standing, but was riddled with cuts and injuries. So in order to complete this tattoo, he literally goes to a rival clan and murders everyone with his bare hands. He wanted to earn the scars in battle just like the Standing Man. He didn't just do this to complete the tattoo, however. I believe he did this to show that even with no defense, he can still fight back. That's why in most of his fights he stands there and waits for his opponent to attack, showing that he's willing to take any attack, even if it means death. Moving on into the Death Row Inmate Saga, Hanayama fights one of the inmates known as Spec. Spec unleashes a move called the Apnea Rush, where basically he doesn't take a breath while punching and kicking hundreds of times over, leaving no chance for a counterattack from the opponent. This move, for reference, was able to melt a hole in prison bars, and literally one-shot the Statue of Liberty, almost making the entire structure of it collapse completely. And what does Hanayama do exactly? What could he possibly do against these hits? Well, I'll tell you, he just stood there and tanked them like an absolute Chad. What do you want from me? And even though Spec was rambling about how he can't counterattack, Hanayama took that info and was like, yeah, I don't care. And he unleashes his own punch through Spec's punches and one-shots him. After that, he sends him flying, and, after a couple of other hits from Hanayama, Spec decides to be a little bitch, and shoves ammo into Hanayama's mouth, clamps his jaw shut, causing the ammo to explode in his mouth, and even with an explosion going off in his head, he literally asked Spec if he wanted to continue the fight. This dude is just wild. I'm baffled. After defeating Spec, Hanayama hands him into the police force, but apparently Spec wasn't done being a bitch, and he decides to go after Hanayama again, except this time, he decides to pull out a gun and shoot out both of his kneecaps. This still turned into a fight, but Spec, using his bullshit tactics, was able to put Hanayama in a headlock. And Hanayama was like, "Nah, I'm not having that," and utterly destroys his arm with his grip strength. Spec was a little confused seeing his arm blown apart, letting Hanayama have the chance to grab Spec's throat. Spec, in the middle of this, jams his middle finger into Hanayama's ear, which was speculated to be touching his brain. But, as always, Hanayama ignores it and grips even harder. This in turn crushed his throat and knocked him out. So what does Hanayama do? Well, he stands up and gives a victory yell. Now, I'm not really sure how he's able to stand without kneecaps, but I won't question it. Next is during the Pickle arc, where Hanayama tanks and halts a charge from Pickle. Keep in mind, this same charge was used to stop charging dinosaurs in their tracks. As well as one-shot Retsu, a guy who is said to be the embodiment of 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts. And yet, Hanayama stands there like a Chad and says, "Nah, you ain't gonna push me." This gets even more interesting when Pickle compares Hanayama's strength to that of a Triceratops, and even says he might be a little bit stronger. Then Hanayama was like, "Yo, you push me, I push you," and actually manages to push Pickle back. To which Pickle was very confused but also happy at the same time, and even says, this man's spirit is actually making him stronger mid-fight, so yeah, Hanayama got that spirit amp, bitch. Now this one to me is real spicy. So during the Musashi arc, Hanayama literally hits up Yujiro and was like, "Yo, meet me in the street." And he goes for a wind-up punch and manages to make Yujiro's head move back and gives him a bloody nose. And as he does this, Yujiro gives him a bit of praise for training and becoming even stronger than the last time they actually met, which I won't talk about, but just read that for yourself. Later on in this arc, he goes to fight Miyamoto Musashi himself. Don't ask. And Hanayama's will was so bright, Musashi had trouble keeping his eyes open. So yeah, his will is so vibrant that it could actually manifest as white bright light. Wow. And during that, he just blinds Musashi and then slugs him in the face, sending him 30 feet away. And then right after, he goes for another punch, but Musashi pulls out his sword and it gets embedded into his fist. And Hanayama was like, "I don't really care," and clocks him again with the same fist that the sword is embedded into. Bruh, even when there's a sword stuck in his hand, he will punch you anyway, it doesn't matter. After that, Hanayama said, "Yo, can we hold hands real quick?" And Musashi agreed, and was like, I think this must be a custom of your world, because I did the same thing with Pickle." And then Hanayama just grabs his hand, squeezes a bit, and absolutely folds him. And just says, "Yeah, it's a talent of mine." So I find this very impressive because Musashi is well known for his grip strength as well, such as crushing bamboo stalks and hurting Baki himself when he grabbed him by the ankle. Keep in mind, this is after the Son of Ogre fight. Now on to the next arc, which is the Sumo arc. Hanayama was able to one-shot a Rikishi, known as Shachihoko, who is also known as the Sumo World Striker. This is impressive because Baki stated if a Rikishi is ready, he won't go down, and Hanayama disproved that in one hit, and Baki was even shown to be very shocked when he was able to pull off such a feat. This becomes even more impressive when you realize that Shibukawa's Aiki was physically overpowered by a Rikishi named Kyoge, who is the tallest and heaviest Rikishi out of the group. This move essentially deflects an opponent's oncoming attacks with their own power, and the fact that Kyoge here was actually able to physically overpower that Aiki is wildly impressive. Not to mention that Aiki overpowers the strength of people like Baki, Musashi, and even Oliva, who gets respect from Yujiro because of his strength. So you're probably thinking, why is Kyoge here even relevant? Well, the thing is, he states that later, Rikishi need to be able to repel magic, and by magic he means Aiki. Now, I'm not saying that these two sumos are equal in strength, but the fact he says Rikishi in specific, I would say they are relative at the very least. So in any case, after letting Shachihoko get back up, they fight a little, and he's like, alright, I want you to hit me, I'm ready. Hanayama then clocks him again, and the Stumo still stays awake, but then Hanayama was like, no you don't, and uppercuts him, knocking him out. Now this is probably my favorite part right here. While he was knocked out, he looks up and sees this. Hanayama stood there and had enough time to fix his hair, put his glasses back on, and even reach for a cig. God damn. Now with that, we have to wait until Hanayama's next appearance in the manga. But luckily, he has his own side story, chock full of chatty feats. However, this video is mainly for the stuff he's done in the Baki manga. But why not, I'll show 2 feats from his spin-off just because I like them so much. One day, Hanayama was out on a fishing boat, just chilling, drinking beer, hanging with the boys, but then all of a sudden he gets his hook snag on a rock. And what does he do? Well, he takes off his clothing, and he just jumps in and swims down into the water and tries to get his hook unstuck. And while he's down there, he suddenly notices, oh my god, a giant great white shark is about to eat him. So with the shark chasing him, Hanayama just spins around, grabs the shark, gets a hold of him, and then crushes its eye while it's flailing around and swimming and bashing itself into the boat. He just reaches around, shoves his hand into its head, grabs its brain, and crushes it. And then somehow gets it to shore and takes a photo with it. Our next and final chatty feat from Hanayama is when he one-shotted an armored car that was stated to not fall apart, whether it be getting hit by a bazooka or even a landmine. But with a destructive force punch, Hanayama essentially made the car useless. And with that, I really don't have much to say other than this man is an absolute Chad. Well anyway, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe, join the Discord where we can talk about manga, comics, all that good stuff. And don't forget to subscribe to the coffee shop members as well. And have a very Merry Christmas, everybody. Peace.